But Bas, like at what age? At what age did you know? Like like fighting is like I remember I asked Tyson. We had him at our event, and Tyson said when the first time he fought, he would fight scared. He said I punched a guy and I ducked because I was scared. And he says I saw him on the ground. And he says he brought his father back. And then his father fought me. And he says, I did the same thing, and I knocked out a 30-year-old man. Yeah. He says, that's when I realized my punch really had weight behind it. When did you know, like, fighting was your thing to do?
Not at that moment, but I was very sick as a kid, so I was bullied a lot. I had a horrible skin disease. I was the leper in school. That's what they called me. And needless to say, you start building an aggression towards these bullies because it went on a daily basis. And then when I was 12 years old, I saw a Bruce Lee movie, sneaked in, started learning martial arts, took 2 years actually to convince my parents. But once I did it for 2.5 months, I knocked the first bully out, the biggest one in my school. And that's when I realized, wow, this is actually pretty easy. Because it was Taekwondo what I did. It was only kicking, but somehow I knocked him one punch, it was out. The problem was he broke his nose in the process. So the police showed up. And I confirmed for my mom and dad that it was violence, and so they took me off martial arts. So then I had to wait till I was 20 when I moved out of the house, and that's immediately I started doing karate.
So 14, 20, you're doing nothing.
Oh no, I am. Of course, I slipped in, illegally, going to places, watching videotapes, watching books and katas, and so I was constantly busy with it, but I didn't have any people teaching me.
But you would say you were obsessed, like it was an obsession of yours.
Immediately, because, once you knock out a guy, it feels really good. And then I went after all the bullies. I made a list with all the guys who had bullied me in the past, and I started scratching off.
Get out of here.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Seriously?
Yeah. And it was sad because some of them, they literally said, dude, I don't even remember. I go, I do remember. Yeah.
This reminds me of two things. Number one, in the movie Billy Madison, Steve Buscemi had a kill list of whoever he was going to, whoever bullied him, if you ever saw Billy Madison. And then, thank God
Kobe.
and then the Kobe list. Kobe said he had a very similar list of guys that were ranked higher than him in high school. And he's like, all right, this is my kill list.
55 of them.
Exactly.
Because he was ranked the 56th best high school athlete. So one by one, he went after all of them. So like when you beat that bully up and you knocked him out, are these bullies kids that you went to school with? So did you go to school or did you go to a park? Like where were they?
They were in my school. His name was Shaki. He was the biggest bully in my school. And he was bullying everybody. So came from a bad family. His brother was in jail for robbery.
This was in Netherlands.
That was in the Netherlands, yeah. So, and it was one punch, like I said. It was pretty easy. And then I started going after the bullies, and it was all the time like that. Just if I connected, when I connected, the fight would be over. And I go, oh, this is...
Did anybody ever get you or no? Did you ever lose in high school?
No, I never lost on the street, ever.
You never?
Never lost a fight.
In your life?
In my life, yeah.
Boss, you've never lost a street fight in your life?
No. Yes, I mean, I never lost a street fight in my life. Yes, I should say that. Yeah, true. Nothing.
Undefeated in the street.
So let me ask you, like, I guess the thing with, you know how they say in Las Vegas, if you ever go to the bar, don't act too hard, because you have no clue. You think, hey, what'd you say? Like, you don't do that in Vegas. You don't do that in you don't do that in a lot of cities nowadays. San Diego, you could do that to the wrong guy. But how many times have people not known who you are? Because you have to know UFC and MMA to know who, if you know UFC MMA, everybody knows who you are, and the argument as one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. Those are the arguments you're in when it comes down to a fighter. You're on a lot of different lists. But how often have you gone to a bar where a guy has no clue who you are and they've tested you? I know I've heard the Brian Urlacher story, but like stories like that, do you have a lot of those?
No, I used to, and then after the whole Swedish bar fight story that I had with the bouncers, somehow I never had it anymore. But before that, I would have guys who would see me, they would be drunk, of course, and then I would just call the bouncers. I go, hey, come over here, this guy's an ass. I will give him my card, and say, hey, tomorrow, if you want to go, we can come to my gym, and we can do big gloves, so nobody gets hurt. But you're not going to come. And they always said they were going to come, and nobody ever showed up. And it didn't happen a lot, like 4 times or so.
Got it. So, but nobody really tested you after they knew who you were. You're saying that one bar fight, they had no clue who you were, and then
they knew who I was, and they were known for it. They were calling the mafia bouncers. It was a Yugoslavian mob, and somehow they did that to a lot of people.
What year was this?
Oh, that was in 99, 98.
And so accidentally they see you at the bar, and they know who you are.
Told me right away from the get-go to stay calm. Went in, started dancing with the people. Guys ordering me a drink. He comes over. The bouncers come over, ask me, hey, listen, you need to go. You're too busy. You're bothering the customers. I go, you mean the guy that's just buying a drink for me? But they pushed me in between two doors. In between doors, it started pushing me. One guy put a finger in my eye. I said, I don't want any trouble. Other eye, knocked him out. And then the whole thing started. Like 5 bouncers came. Yeah, it was a big one.
Wow.
I actually have a very important question for you. So I believe, like in college, I played college football. I went to Florida State. I mean, you talk about beer, steroids, kegs, parties. There was 2 types of guys. There was the guy that was looking for a girl to go home with at the end of the night, or a guy that was just looking for a fight at the end of the night. I was always of the former, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I would always say, since then, and anyone who went to Florida State in the late 90s, early 2000s knows, it was like you couldn't avoid fist fights. My question and lesson is, at this point in my life, and I'm not looking for fights, but if I would get in a fight, it would not be with a random stranger. It would only be with someone that I know that has done something to the point of, all right, now we need to fight. Disrespect.
Yeah.
Meaning I've seen so many people, what'd you say? Say something. You stepped on my toes. Yo, bro, why are you looking at my girl? Like it's something where, hey, buddy, like your interaction is maybe 1 second, 2 seconds, but now you're in a fist fight with this person. What advice would you have for just people out there that are just, they've got a quick trigger and they're looking for a fight? Next thing you know, they run into a Bas Rutten at a bar and their face is pummeled for the rest of their life.
Yeah,
For those types of people.
Don't pick a fight. I have students, they look like kids. And they're 17 years old, but they will mess you up. You pick a fight with Amanda Nunes. Well, with any lady from the UFC, you are going to lose. It's that crazy, And nowadays, like you said, you don't know who you're fighting, and you can't tell by their appearance as well. So yeah, don't do it, because it can go really wrong.
Yeah, especially if you have no clue, not only what their background and what their training is, but you've never had any interaction with this person. Why are you fighting a person?
But I tell you,
something nonsensical.
Probably more today than before. Probably more today than before, because even like early 90s, this thing wasn't, all over the, you didn't watch it every day. It was boxing, but it wasn't UFC, MMA, hadn't yet blown up. If you knew about it, it's because it was like a underground community that knew this stuff. So with all the craziness taking place, I believe future looks bright. If you believe future looks bright, get your latest Future Looks Bright hat of Valuetainment. It says Future Looks Bright here, Future Looks Bright here. We got them in white, we got them in black, we got them in red. Our black on black sold out. These are about to sell out. If you haven't ordered one yet, we had a person in Michigan, bought 1, then he bought 3. Then when those 3 people weren't in the office, they had to order 58 of them, because people wanted the Future Looks Bright hat, especially during times like this, because ain't nobody saying Future Looks Bright. To order your Future Looks Bright hat, click over here. And to watch the entire podcast, click here. Take care, everybody.